Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. Maneco 64 here, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Sunday, February 17th, 2019. So, title of the live stream is a book stream, which I think is something I made up. Book stream. I'm gonna wait till more people are here. We've got 10 people, and then I'll just pick up the books I've got here on the floor randomly and speak about them a little bit. You can also ask any questions, reasonable questions you want about the subjects I cover. So we've got S. Walker, who's a moderator. Hi, S. Walker, nice to see you here. Hi, Timothy. Sac Media 1, Lord Humongous. Mario the Great, I don't think so. I don't like to. I don't think. Yeah, I don't like to brag like that. I'm just a normal guy trying to, talk about things I enjoy, and hopefully, people will gain some value from it, or maybe not. I'm quite easy. 10 o'clock in Norway. I know, Gur. Yeah, 10 o'clock. I mean, it is a bit late for me. I am tired a little bit. What did I do today? Well, I played some golf this morning with some friends. It was very nice here in London. It's been very nice the last few days. It feels almost like spring. And I took Billy out actually today for a really long walk. He usually doesn't. I didn't think he would make it all the way to the park, but he made it back. But he's gone upstairs and he's completely out of it now. He's fast asleep upstairs. But it was a great day. I am a little tired. I could have started earlier, but then I'd miss people in Australia. I'd miss people, So I think 9 o'clock is not a bad time. Pablo from Canada is here. Pablo Pina, he's a regular. Steve, good evening, Steve, to you as well. Nacho Fool, Gary Abbott. He was just listening to the Hugo Chavez video I put on pause to listen to. Yeah, I tweeted that out. I was listening on YouTube to that video. I think I'd seen that before. One interesting thing about that video, it talks about Venezuela. It has huge reserves of crude oil, but their crude oil is very hard to get out of the ground. And you need $50 plus oil prices for them to make it interesting for them to drill it out. So that's why I think $50 oil is so important, even though that video was quite old. Olaf from Sweden. Good evening, Olaf. Humudo, Olaf. I know a little bit of Swedish. Humudo or taksumuk. Let Billy talk. Yeah, no, yeah, Billy's going upstairs. I'm just gonna leave him. I took him. I think I walked him like 5 times the usual distance. I didn't think he would make it, but he did. So yeah, heavy, thick crude in Venezuela. That's right. Olaf says my Swedish is great. Well, I know a very little bit of Swedish. High noon in Alaska. Great. You see, we got people from Sweden, Alaska. I should be getting some people from Australia. Australia, right now, it's 7 a.m. So we'll probably get some people from there, maybe New Zealand. Who knows? I was also just listening to some other YouTube videos before I started the live stream. The last one I watched was actually about the Jesuits. And this guy is saying that they're the real powers behind the Illuminati and the New World Order. They're the ones who founded, apparently Adam Weishaupt was a former Jesuit, and I think the Pope in 1773. He shut down the Jesuit order, so they had to start the Illuminati as a backdoor to keep keep it going. So it's really interesting. Yeah, Bavarian Illuminati. And in this video, the guy is saying that the papal families are still, they think, people we never talk about, they're the powers behind everything. I know we talk a lot about the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, but this guy seems to think they're just like, they're not as high as these people. And they're called like the Aldobrandini, the Orsini, um, what else? Breakspear. And I noticed as well, though, that David the Rothschild, the head of the family, the French guy who's really the head of the family now, and the banking, even the London bank, he's married. His wife is an Aldobrandini, which is quite interesting. And they used to be popes and everything. I've heard of Dr. David Janda mentioned the Pezers. That too, I think it's usually people that we don't know about. They want to keep it that way. I would say all roads really lead to the Vatican. Yeah. In this video, they even mentioned that the Jesuits were the ones, they've been around much longer than Zionism and much longer than the Rothschilds. David from London. Hi, David. Nice to see you. So I'm going to pick up, I've got about almost 50 people here. I'm going to pick up the first book. It's not by any order. It's not a big book. It's got, just over 100 pages. And it's called The Empire of the City by E.C. Nutt. And it's about the city of London, how powerful it is. And I guess there's a really great, hi 903 Boater, there's a really great video from documentary on YouTube called The Spider's Web, the modern British Empire. That's right, Steve. And I'm sure they got a lot of information from this book. So it's The Secret History of British Financial Power. So that's the book. Highly recommend it. It's a really good read. I haven't read it in a while, so I'll just read a little bit about the book here from the back, so you guys can have an idea. Carol Quigley. Yeah, I've got the Tragedy and Hope. It's a really huge book. But it says here, the author presents a behind-the-scenes look at the British secretive international policies of the British government, how their past success allowed them to rise to the top of a vast secret order of world finance. According to the author, he has pieced enough information together presented in this book, which clearly shows that a colossal financial and political organization is run from an area of London called the City. Due to its power, the city is claimed to operate as a super government of the world and is said to play some kind of role or have influence in virtually every major world event. The book provides a bird's eye view of British international finance and how it really works. Well, and then there's people who think the power is in the Vatican. I think still, yeah, the power could be in Rome. It's interesting because I've walked many times past the Bank of England because I used to work in the city, and they even have in one of the parts outside the Bank of England, they built it in 1936. It's on the pavement or sidewalk, but it's covered, and you go under it, and if you look up, there's like an oculus, like they have in the Parthenon, I think in Rome, an oculus, and if you look carefully, there's the old SPQR sign from Rome, Senatus Popularis Romanus. So why would they have that SPQR at the Bank of England? So yeah, city is the same as the Roman wall. That's right. The Romans were in Londinium, it's called. So that's a really good book. That's the first one. So I'll have a look at some of your comments and questions, and then I'll go, it won't be, I'll just be kind of informal and chat with you guys and try to answer some questions. Carol Quigley, Gerolji, the North Way, Norway. Yeah, that's the name of Sweden. Means south of Eden, and Finland means Finnish land. That's very interesting. I never thought of that. What about Denmark? Some people say it's because of the tribe of Dan. Is that? I mean, is that? What do you think of that, girl? Og? Denmark, the tribe of Dan, Dan. Some people say that the Dan is in a lot of other names. Daniel, Denmark. Will Edwards, the plan and Q. No, I have to say, I kind of during the campaign, Trump. I thought he was the real deal, but uh, I've gone back to my old self. I don't want. I'm an anarchist, I guess. No leader. I think politics is just a game for the it's just a way of controlling the public by the powers that be. That's all it is. I don't trust this plan. That's right, girl. You trust the plan, trust the government, and I don't. Uh, I'm not. No, the Roman Wall runs through the city. It runs, but I used to work near there, Lower Thames Street. It's still there. It's yeah, near what's it called? Yeah, near Cannon Street, down that way. It's near the Tower of London. The Anglo-American Insiders, another excellent Quigley book. Yeah, the other guy that covers a lot the Anglo-American establishment is Charles Savoy, and I'll write his name here. He has a website I recommend called silverstealers.net, and he talks about this secret society called the Pilgrims, and you have to be American or British to be a member of the Pilgrim Society, and yeah, and he thinks they run the finances everywhere, the Pilgrims, and they're very anti-silver. That's why he covers them. Hey, Aaron, I started about 10 minutes ago. I did put a notice up hours ago that I was going to start at 9 p.m. London. So hopefully, some of you saw it. But yeah, just 10 minutes, Aaron. A lot of Trump supporters unhappy. Yeah, I mean, the only guy that I would have some faith in if he became president would be Ron Paul. Ron Paul, on his desk in Congress, he had a sign that said, don't steal because government hates competition. That's the kind of guy he is. Gur Oji says, trust yourself, listen to all, follow none. That's right. That's good advice. I never heard that one. Yeah, listen to everyone and do what you think is right, in my opinion. Aaron Levy says he just woke up. Where are you, Aaron? I forgot where you are. Yeah, presidents are selected, not elected. So let's get another book here. Another one that's not very big, not a long read. It's only 57 pages, and it's a classic. I mean, if they taught this book in schools, it would be great, I think. Smedley Butler, War is a Racket. It's almost like a pamphlet, isn't it? The anti-war classic by America's most decorated soldier, Smedley Butler. Oh, Aaron Levy is in Delaware. You're asleep. You're taking a little siesta, I guess. I've got the law by Bastia. I've covered that. It's coming. So one of the most interesting parts about this book is where he compares. It's right at the back. He compares how much the big American corporations were making before World War One on average in profits, and then during the war how much they made. You see here, and I'll read to you just to give you some example how profitable wars are. So, for example, DuPont average profits in the last pre-war year 6,092,000. Don't forget, this was like over 100 years ago. And then average profits during the 4 years of war 58,076,000. So that was annual. That was not, for the 4 years. So they went from making 6 million a year to making 58 million a year for 4 years. Let's have a look at another one that's quite a huge change here. Republic Iron and Steel, they made $4 million a year the last year before the war. And during the war, they were making profits of 17.5 million every year. So yeah, highly recommend War is a Racket. Have you watched Cambridge House interviews? Yeah, I've seen some of the. I think I subscribe to their YouTube channel. I don't watch all of them. Yeah. Girl OG, well, what a bad deal considering that gold bull market continued far beyond 2004. I was talking to my wife about the gold price and stuff, and I was just saying I'm not, you know, I don't have any expectations. I'm not looking for it to go to 5, 10,000. I'm fine if it stays where it is, because and I'm sure it will go higher, but all I'm saying is that for me the important thing is to have not be financing the bankers, and that's one of the reasons to hold gold. And the other reason is that our enemies, the people who run the world, that's their currency as well. So, and they've had it for thousands of years. So I think we should we don't act like them. Don't be deceptive and controlling people. But we can still use some of their strategies, in my opinion. So what I was saying to my wife about the price of gold, because I started buying gold coins back in 2002, and in dollars it started going up. It was like around 320 when I started buying, and then a year and a half later it was almost 400. But in pounds, it stayed almost stuck between 220 and 230 up until 2006, and it was very frustrating because when the price of gold in dollars would go up, the pound would go up as well. But then all of a sudden in '06, it just zoomed up. And I think we are, these last four, yeah, since 2013, 2014, this is what we had. It's been frustrating. So now the key level, of course, is going to be 1375. I think if we break through there, we're off to the races, because it's the top of the range for the last 2.5 years. Pablo, what is your input of JP Morgan creating a JP Morgan crypto coin? Well, I wouldn't trust it. Do you trust JP Morgan? I don't. So it, it just shows to me that JP Morgan doesn't understand, the point of cryptocurrencies. It's trying to get away from them. So I'm not sure if it could be successful amongst themselves and their clients. It's not something I'd be interested in. Will Edwards, money I'm not spending on metals and money spent on vices, the stuff I don't need. Yeah, I mean, I don't smoke and I don't drink that much, but I've noticed the prices of you know, drinks in the UK have gone up a lot, have gone up recently. They go up every year. Cigarettes as well and tobacco have gone up a lot. It's only a matter of time, I think, when the general public will get quite angry, you know, with all these prices of vices going up. And I don't judge people, you know, if they want to smoke and drink. But I think it's going up and up. I think a pint of beer now or lager here in the UK is over £4, which is a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, I don't. My wife smokes, so she buys tobacco. I guess the where my money goes is for golf. I've calculated that, you know, if you smoke a pack of cigarettes a day, you could be, you know, you could pay for two golf memberships at a very good club. So that's my vice, I guess, golf. Mike, have you heard of the dollar milkshake theory? I've seen headlines and stuff about this, but I haven't really looked into it. So I'm not sure what it is. The only thing I know is that the dollar and all the other fiat currencies are going to keep sinking against real things because they're being created in such huge supply that real things can't keep up, and it's the simple law of supply and demand. Jordan Hayden, it all starts with the birth certificate. Yeah, I've looked a lot into that. Years, you know, I know about that. You know, the difference between common law and maritime law. Uh, we should be on common law in the UK, the old common law, and we're not, unfortunately. We shouldn't have birth certificates. You should be born and that's it. But with the birth certificate, with national insurance or social security, they get you hooked in. So let's get another book. Uh, so yeah, it's one of my favorites, and it just goes to show you that books don't have to be thick uh, to be good. And I do have a lot of big, thick books. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, that's my favorite. The Law. That's another book that you know they should. Every school child should read, but unfortunately, the schools are controlled by the government. Even the private schools, I think, have the curriculum that's set by the government. Marco Mata Mario, good evening, a long time fan of yours. I will sum up what Brent Johnson says with his dollar milkshake theory. The dollar index will go above 160 to all-time highs, and gold will rise with the U.S. dollar. Uh, I personally think the dollar index topped in 2017 at 103.82, and it will bottom. It will go down until at least 2024. But it's possible that gold and the dollar can go up together. But I personally think the dollar index is going to drop. But that's why there's a market. You know, there's people have different views. Yeah, Lord Humongous, what good is the law when the government breaks the law all the time? I mean, that's what Frederick Bastiat talks about. Frederick Bastiat died in 1850, and I think he wrote this book around that time. And around that time, you had all the, you know, communism was and socialism was starting up in Europe. I think in France they had a revolution, like a revolt, communist revolt. I think Paris was taken over for a while by communists in 1848. So yeah, the classic blueprint for a just society. The gist of it is that Frederick Bastiat says that the law is, you know, that we are all born free, that we should have the right to life, property, and freedom, and that when we join together in a society, if there is to be a government, it's to protect those freedoms, and that's the law. But he's talking about the fact that it's all been corrupted, and the law has been used to like aggress against the individual. So great book. Um, the Law Created Order in My Thinking About Liberty and Just Human Conduct, Walter Williams. The law has been acclaimed for more than a century as the classic moral defense of liberty and limited government. Here is a timeless message of immutable principle in the immortal words of one of history's most courageous thinkers and brilliant writers. Uh, you know, uh, I think he's the greatest French philosopher or economist, not Thomas Piketty, the guy who's in the last few years become really popular with his theories of redistributing wealth. Uh, Hopefully, some of the yellow vests will be reading this book. I've also noticed the yellow vests, they continue every weekend. I think it was weekend 14 today. And they're still out there protesting. R thinks there's nowhere else to hide dollar and gold. Well, I guess dollar, technically, dollar is a weight of silver. I guess you mean the Federal Reserve note. I wouldn't want to hold any Federal Reserve notes, to be honest. And by holding Federal Reserve notes, are you're financing the very people who uh, want the worst for you. So the central bankers. So I try to keep as little Bank of England notes or Federal Reserve notes for that matter. Aaron Levy, confidence in the dollar has been lost twice at least. Yeah, but I think the only way to get back confidence in the dollar, the pound, the euro, uh, is to raise interest rates to like almost 10% more, maybe even more. But that's going to kill everything because there's so much debt. So I think that's why it's going to continue to the dollar and all the other fiat currencies are going to continue to sink against tangible goods, against real money, gold and silver. Yes, Jordan Hayden, I agree with you. It's not only in the UK that we've given up on common law, but in the US as well. The name of the country, people used to say these United States. Nowadays they say the United States as if it was just one thing. So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Brian says, "Did you notice that BBC never reports the yellow vest?" Not really, because I never watched the BBC. But I have noticed, when I go out and look at the papers in the shops, there's nothing about the yellow vests. I think the only people who on YouTube who cover the yellow vests, uh, RT, they cover it every week. And so in the alternative, there's not that many people either covering it, except for Luke Radowski, who was in Paris last weekend and has been there several times. Yusuf Isa. Hi, Yusuf. No, I'm not looking for a wife. I'm married, so we can only have one wife here in the UK. Maybe another. I'm joking. Uh, Big investors will keep the dollar. I'm not sure about that, RR. The very wealthy. Why would they want to keep more than 250,000 in the bank? Bail-ins, right? FDIC. I think a lot of the wealthy are moving their money to precious metals and storing it in places like Switzerland or even Singapore. Yeah, I heard about that, Lord Humongous, about the black helicopters doing exercise at the Wells Fargo. I was last week. Yeah, I saw a video about that. I'm not sure, what it all means. But I'll tell you a story, because the word glitch, I think, is very dangerous. I subscribed a couple of years ago to KC Research, one of their services, and it's quite a lot of money. But I did a deal, right, where I didn't pay as much, but then it would renew again automatically, uh, in 2 years. But I turned off the renewal because I didn't think it was worth it. After a few months, I said I don't want to pay, over $1,000 for the service. So I turned off the renewal. And then the other day, I looked at my bank account and I saw this big amount go out, and it was from Crazy Research. And so I called them the next day, toll free number, and the woman there said, "Oh, it was a glitch. It was our mistake. You had turned it off." And I said, and she said, "It wasn't anyone's mistake." I said, "Well, that's not true because, it's someone who programs your systems. That's their mistake, And I said, glitch is, it's a word that they're going to use. The bankers are going to use that as an excuse to take people's money. And that's why I don't hold too much money in the banks anymore, because they could use a glitch as an excuse. Yeah, I saw the other day as well. I think one of the Fed banks, Aaron, said that like there's 7 million people in the US are 90 days delinquent in auto loans. That's quite a big amount of people. Yeah, Fed protects the stock market. Yeah. Hey, Timmy Chonga, nice to see you here. MM knows here. Everybody give Mario a thumbs up and share this video far and wide. Yeah, the other thing I like to say is thank you, everyone. I think about a month ago, I did a live stream, and loads of you told me that you weren't seeing any adverts in my videos, and maybe now you're seeing a few more. But it really helped because I changed the settings, and even though I feel that right now a lot of my videos are not getting as many views as they should, but I'm making more revenue from the adverts than I used to. Uh, than I was making January and December, which helped. But for some reason right now, my videos seem to get stuck above 3,000, even though I've got almost 23,000 subscribers. And I know that a lot of subscribers probably don't watch my videos, but I still think it's strange that a lot of my videos are not getting more views. But you just have to keep going, and that's what I'll do. Just keep going. Aaron Levy, U.S. entered recession September. Yeah, I think so too, Aaron. I saw the Atlanta Fed the other day. They revised Q4 GDP from 2.5 to 1.5%, and I think they might even revise it further down. The Watcher, hi, The Watcher, nice to see you here. You always comment a lot on the videos. It's good to see you. Low blood spur, low blood PR, sure. Corpus Christi, Texas. Nice to see you. Yeah, that's fine, Key VJ. Skip it, if it's too long. But yeah, uh, last year I didn't have a problem. I was earning quite a bit, but for some reason they've changed some of the. You always have to keep an eye on things. Looter 92. What do the Englishmen or the English think of my accent? Well, a lot of them think they ask me, where are you from in the States? Or some of them think I'm Canadian. Brian Carno, what do you think of Santander defaulting on? Well, they didn't default on the Coco bonds. Uh, they didn't do anything wrong. They just did something that uh, wasn't expected. There was basically these bonds. Uh, they could have recalled the bonds and paid the investors 100 to the dollar, a par. But they had the choice not to recall it, so not to give the investors their money back. And investors knew that when they bought the bonds. But what people have been talking about is that they were expected not to do that, but they didn't default on it at all. So, Brian Carno, I have money in Santander. Yeah, I don't bank with them, Santander, but every bank is the same. Very very few banks are safe. Why did I move to the UK? Well, I'm originally from Brazil, but I also have an Italian passport. I was living in Switzerland back in the early '90s, working in finance. I just my first job was in a small private bank in Switzerland, and a friend of the family here in London started a business with a brokerage house here in London, and he asked me to come work with him back in '92, and that's why with my Italian passport I could come and work here. And I've been here since then, and I got married here as well. So that's why I came to London. Yes, Switzerland is a beautiful country. Uh, at the time, Geneva, I was in my 20s. It's a very, it's not a, it's a great place, don't get me wrong, but it's better if you're older and you've got family and, a lot of money. But Switzerland is a beautiful country, yeah, and it's very organized. It's like there's a joke that every there's 8 million policemen in Switzerland because the Swiss are very strict. If you park your car in the wrong place, people will come and tell you. They don't mind their own business, but that's probably why it's so organized and runs well. Aaron, I don't know when Deutsche Bank is going to zero. Right now, it's like a zombie bank. I remember they used that term in the '90s about the Japanese banks. So I would say all the banks are zombie banks, even the American banks. The only way they've been able to get away with things is that they've changed the accounting rules to make them look better than they are. Steve Ince, your channel is like having a regular daily paper or TV news report, only better. Thank you. I am guilty of not donating to date, have watched you for 2 years. I will remedy it. Thank you, Steve. Um, don't worry about it. So, do you know how loans from the banks actually work, Jordan Hayden? Yeah, basically, uh, the best way, banks, they just create, they don't take money from Mr. Smith to lend to Mr. Hayden. They just create $1,000, a book entry, and then they put that money into your account. That's how it works. It's fractional reserve lending. I mean, if you did any other business like that, it would be a fraud. It's like, selling someone a car and then making them wait a year to get the car, just giving them a certificate. Oh, here's your car. That's how our banking system works. David Morsilli is here. Hi, David. Nice to see you. Markets are closed on Monday. Is it President's Day or something like that? I'm not sure. But I think the futures trade, so things will be open and gold will trade in London. So, and I think I'm not sure if the stock market will be closed, but if it is a federal holiday, the treasuries, the bond markets will be closed. Mr. Lee, I want to buy my first gold coin, but the prices are at all-time high. Which currency are you talking about? Because it's not at an all-time high in dollars and pounds and euros, Swiss francs. You must be in Australia, I would say, because it's near the all-time high. I don't think it would, where the price is should discourage you from accumulating gold. You should do it on a dollar cost average basis, I would say. Yeah, Japan. I read an article that interest rates in Japan have been at, the central bank rate has been at 0 for 20 years. It hasn't done it any good. Snowflake Blender, could you do a video on how a country could use a Bitcoin standard instead of gold standard? Limited supply should allow some kind of standard. Well, yeah, I'll think about that. I mean, I don't even think, I'm of the idea that we should have our own standards, individually. You could have your Bitcoin standard. Think of Bitcoin as your, money, or gold. Be on your own gold standard. Forget about what the government does. It's possible. I mean, Bitcoin standard. I don't know. I'll think about it. Gary Abbott. Why don't large investors, banks with nearly zero transaction fees, going to arbitrage German bonds, and treasury, and bring the spreads together? Yeah, I mean, that spread is really wide now. I remember when it was below 100 basis points. I think one of the reasons that spread is so wide is because, and people are probably arbing that, they're borrowing in German bonds and lending in treasuries, but it doesn't narrow because there's so much trouble in other Eurozone countries that big investors want to have German government bonds because they trust more the German government bonds than the Italian, Spanish, or French, and that's why. It's purely because of that. So I think if the euro broke up, for example, then that spread would probably narrow, i.e., the treasuries would outperform. CK, how do you feel about Russia deciding to absorb Belarus? I saw a little video on that. Both presidents of both countries met, and they're actually talking about cooperation and being closer. I don't know if they have a referendum and the Belarusian people. That's what it seems like. They said the people decide that they want to be closer together, like in a union. they actually said that is nothing different than the European Union. So yeah, I guess it's almost like going back to the old Soviet Union. I don't really care. If they want to do that, it's their business. But I would say the less centralization, the better. So, the Soviet Union didn't work, so it collapsed. Now they're trying to put it back together, kind of. I would say we should go back to almost city states, or like some people, I think it was the guy Jeff Berwick. He said he'd like to see 7 billion governments, i.e., each individual is his own, boss. Pablo Pina, I haven't really followed Palladium. I know it's breaking out. I just wish gold would do the same, but Palladium isn't as important, for for the system. So they've let it go. No, Lord Humongous, the housing market isn't collapsing in the UK. It's still fairly strong, but not in central London, where central London it's where the bubble is the biggest. That's come off quite a bit. That for the very rich, it's like in the West End, but it's still quite strong, the housing market here. Interest rates are still really low. So as long as interest rates are low, it's going to keep going for the moment. John the Glass, can the U.S. eliminate its trade deficit? No, not under the current petrodollar system, fiat money system. Uh, no, because every country has to use the dollar still to trade globally with other countries, and the only way for them to accumulate dollars is to sell as much as they can to the U.S. So no, you know, they can't unless you need to go back to a gold standard. Uh, I would say for there to be trade balance with every country, and even under a gold standard, there's going to be some countries that are going to have uh, deficits and surpluses, but it's going to be much closer to zero or to balance. Oh yeah, blue light. It's the mandibles. Uh, yeah, the man. I'll write it down. He's asking me about the family, the book where the family lost all its money. It wasn't only that family. I think it was everyone. The Mandibles by Lionel Shriver. Really good book. Highly recommend it. It's really, really difficult to put it down. Poraki Tutti. Hey Mario, best in the space of gold and sound money podcast. The doom and gloom without doom and gloom. Just facts and theories with books and videos. Reference. Love the Shaw BBC video. Big thanks. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I mean, there's no point in being scared of things and gloom and doom. You just or else you don't live your life. That's what I found. The other thing as well, having lived in Brazil when we had different currencies collapse, it's not the end of the world. So, maybe in the US will be different because the US has been so spoiled, not kind of spoiled. You've had it really good for, since World War II. So you could see a bit of trouble, but yeah. Timmy Chonga says 118 watching, only 35 likes. Come on, folks. Let's give Maneco some love. Thank you, Timmy Chonga. Chris Bell, billionaires, Russians laundering money through property in London. Well, it's not only Russian billionaires, it's billionaires from all over the world, even Americans probably doing it, Scandinavians, South Americans, Chinese, Greeks. There's people from everywhere in London. Scott Deboard, platinum. Yeah, I mean, I don't follow it that much, even though I do cover precious metals, mostly gold and silver. But yeah, it's not something I've owned before, though. Yeah, the currency. We don't have money, do we? We have currency, and it's fiat currency. It's a warehouse receipt. That's how it started out. Oh, I'm not in Hempstead, Carno. I'm, yeah, I'm nowhere near Hempstead. Let's see another book. I've kind of stocked the books. Ah, this is a really interesting book. It's a different kind of book. Uh, it's called Money. And it says here, you shall have honest weights and measures. And I bought this, I think, in 2000, when was it? 2002. You can see here, December 19th, 2002. So I've been at this for quite a while, and the author signed it and time stamped it here. So this is all about, the technical definition of currency, of money, of gold. It's very interesting. So I'll read it. Let's see what it says here. I'm not sure where you can find this book. It's by James Ewert, but there's some really nice photos in there as well, like this. So it shows you how, you see, this certifies that there has been deposit at the Treasury of the United States, $100 in gold coin. So that's what, that wasn't a Federal Reserve note, and that was like a kind of a receipt for gold. This one here this certifies that there has been deposited in the Treasury of the United States $1 silver payable to the bearer.
Okay, I found this on the web.
There you go. So it's really interesting book, and it's just called Money, and the guy's name is James Ewert. I'll write it down here so you guys, James E. Ewert. Let's see if there's another interesting thing here. Well, there's another interesting one. This is from 1891, Treasury note, $1,000 in coin. So I guess it could be gold and silver. There you go. That one. So yeah, it's a really good book. I highly recommend it. Money. The Snowflake blender is buying copper. Yeah, I mean, copper is interesting. I remember about 6, 7, 8 years ago, here in the UK, base metals were really, the prices were really high, and a lot of people were making a lot of money scrapping, metals, especially, copper. Right now, I don't think it's that high. Low bloods for Maneco. What's the first gold piece you owned? Do you still have it? The first gold coin I bought was a Krugerrand. I bought that was in 2002. I bought 22 Krugerrands, and I paid. It was about just 5,000 pounds. I'm not sure if, yeah, I probably still have it. But the thing with gold coins is that you just put them, together. It doesn't matter. I still have them, yeah. But afterwards, I learned that it was better to buy sovereigns. So I've got more sovereigns than Krugerrands. Carnivale, ciao, Andrea Di Pre. Riddle, if we had to pay back all the debt owed to the banks tomorrow and did, how would we pay back the interest? Yeah, you can't because they never create as much enough money to pay the interest, right? But I mean, the Federal Reserve, I think, they own about 3 trillion in treasuries. They could just, write it off. Write off that debt. You could lower the national debt. Yeah, Pablo. Yeah, that's probably not. They were years ago. They were stealing, pipes. Yeah, and cables. Um, yeah. Brian Carno, U.S. Constitution says not to interfere in foreign wars. I don't think it's the Constitution, but I think it was George Washington in his farewell address. He noted that the U.S. shouldn't interfere and get involved in with foreign powers. Yeah, they never listened to that. How do I feel about Brexit? Yeah, I mean, it's a big mess. The process of trying to get out is a big mess. But I think personally, it's not a bad thing to be out of the European Union. It's one less layer of government. Yeah, but there is a lot of uncertainty now. I don't know what's going to happen. So, um, but I don't have a problem with it. I think there's too many people who think it's going to be a bad thing leaving the EU, but I don't think so. I think Switzerland and the UK will be quite close. Close relationship. Yeah, Theresa May did work for the Bank of England for a long time. Yeah, she's an ex-Bank of England employee. So just one more book, and then I'm going to call it a day. I've been on for almost an hour, so let's get one more book here. It's the book from the thumbnail of this live stream. It's called America's Great Depression by Murray and Rothbard. And Murray Rothbard, he was an economist of the Austrian school. Austrian school, they're into laissez-faire, small government, sound money. And this is a really good book. I think it was written in the 60s. And it kind of it's a contrarian view of the mainstream economic thought that they think the Great Depression happened because the Fed didn't do enough after the crash of 29. Well, Murray Rothbard basically says that the Great Depression happened because the Fed did too much in the 1920s. So that's a really good book. And why do they do too much? Well, because after World War One, uh, Britain was still really important power, and Churchill, who was the finance minister or chancellor of the exchequer, he put England back on the gold standard in 1926 at the pre-World War One level, which wasn't sustainable. So, and what happened? Well, the New York Fed, who worked very closely with the Bank of England, they kept interest rates really low, artificially low, in order to keep the pound, uh, artificially high at that pre-war level of, in terms of gold, and that's what created the stock market bubble, and eventually the crash and the Great Depression. So that's what Murray Rothbard talks about. Highly recommend this book. It's a bit bigger. It's more technical, but it's really good. And that's probably, and that's why we're going to have a really bad depression, in my opinion, if we're not having it already. Unless you work on Wall Street or the City of London, or you're really close to the financial system, I think we've already been in a depression, and it's only because of the Fed creates bubbles, artificial money, artificial interest rates. So yeah, I highly recommend that book, America's Great Depression, Murray Rothbard. So with that, I'll end the video, and I thank everyone for showing up, for giving thumbs up, for participating, and yeah, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. As usual, I do a video virtually every day. Sometimes I don't do it on the weekend. One day of the weekend I won't make a video, but like today I did a live stream. If there's any of you are new to the channel here, if you enjoyed the content and my views, make sure you subscribe. And also to all my viewers as well, and longtime subscribers, yeah, don't wait for notifications of my videos. Go to YouTube and check my channel, and then click on videos, and you'll see my new videos. So thanks everyone again. Have a great rest of the weekend, or not if you are in Australia. Take care. Bye.